We shall begin in 1 minute.
The resumption of the budget briefing on the fiscal year 2023, sources of financing and expenditure levels, and the budget proposals of departments, agencies, corporations is hereby called to order. Committee Secretary, please acknowledge the House members and guests physically present today, as well as those attending via Zoom.
May we now acknowledge the House officials and members, as well as officials of the Judiciary, who are physically present, as well as those attending via Zoom video conference. At the Nograles Hall, Senior Deputy Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan, Senior Deputy Minority Leader Paul Daza, Representative Faustino Michael Carlos D. III, Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro, Representative Isabel Maria Zamora, Vice Chair Roy Loyola, Representative Yolo Rodriguez, Representative Wilbert Lee, Vice Chair Raul Angelo Bongolan, Representative Oscar Malapitan, Vice Chair Romeo Momo, Representative Yevgeny Imano, Representative Rodante Marcoleta, Vice Chair Peter Gonzaga, Senior Vice Chair Stella Kimbo, Representative Ramon Gutierrez. Attending via Zoom, Vice Chair Rachel Marguerite Del Mar, Representative Zia Alonto Adjo, Representative Maria Vanessa Aumentado, Representative Edgar Chato, Representative Ricardo Cruz Jr., Representative Antonieta Yudela, Representative Jaime Fresnelli, Representative Dante Garcia, Representative Edwin Garjola, Representative Ed Salagman, Representative Jervil Luistro, Representative Marisa Magsino, Representative Bay Dimpol Mastura, Representative Rene Ann Lourdes Matibag, Representative Agustina Dominic Dice Tina Pancho, Ramon Jolo Revilla III, Representative Caroline Tanchay, Representative Jocelyn Tulfo, Representative Samuel Versosa Jr., Representative Christopher Sonyap, Representative Maria Cincha Chan, Representative Edsel Galeos, Representative Ruth Mariano Hernandez, Representative Jose Gay Pajermos, Representative Mohamed Paglas, Representative Rufus Rodriguez, Representative Edgardo Salvame, Representative Emilio Tanwaco III, Representative Ron Salo, Representative Dimzar Zali, Vice Chair Divine Yu, Deputy Speaker Don Gonzales, Representative Richelle Singson, Representative Ann Veloso Tuazon, and Vice Chair Rachel Arenas. May we also acknowledge the presence at the Nograles Hall of the following justices: Associate Justice Jose Maidas Marquez of the Supreme Court, Associate Justice Mario Lopez of the Supreme Court, Associate Justice Samuel Garland of the Supreme Court, Court Administrator Raul Villanueva of the Supreme Court, Presiding Justice Remedios Salazar Fernando of the Court of Appeals, Associate Justice Edwin Sorongan, Court of Appeals, Representative Justice Amparo Cabotaje Tang of the Sandigan Bayan, Associate Justice Carl Miranda of the Sandigan Bayan, Presiding Justice Roman G. Del Rosario, Court of Tax Appeals, Associate Justice Michael Musni of the Sandigan Bayan, and via Zoom, Attorney Brian Keith Osaka, Assistant Court Administrator of the Supreme Court, Attorney Marife Lumibao Cuevas, Clerk of Court of the Supreme Court, Associate Justice Danilo Fernando of the Sandigan Bayan, Associate Kevin Narced Vivero of the Sandigan Bayan, Associate Justice Arthur Malabagyo of the Sandigan Bayan. And also, may we also acknowledge the presence of Representative Romeo Aco. That's all, Madam Chair.
Senior Deputy Speaker Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, Honorable Justices of the Judiciary, Minority Leader Marcelo Libanan, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We thank the Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court under the leadership of Chief Justice Honorable Alexander G. Gismundo for the several innovations introduced to enable the judiciary to face the challenges of dispensing justice in a world disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Philippine Judiciary 365 app, which was deployed to all courts nationwide as the platform for video conferencing hearings, allowed for continued hearings of cases under the strictest health protocols. Likewise, the Judiciary electronic payment system developed is currently implemented in pilot first level courts to streamline the processes of assessment and payment of legal court fees and increase public access to the judicial services is worth praising and mentioning. Allow me also to congratulate your honors on the success of the first ever digitalized and regionalized bar examination held last February this year with 11,402 examinees, with the result released in record-breaking time at barely 2 months after. We look forward to more judicial innovations to deliver different and accessible justice in real time to public. Rest assured that the House of Representatives, under the leadership of Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, will support the judiciary family to achieve its plans and programs for fiscal year 2023. Thank you and good morning.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
at this point, allow us to present the sponsors of the budget of the judiciary. We have as lead sponsor Representative Roel Gonzaga, and as co-sponsor we have Attorney Jill Bongalon. And at this point, Mr. Chair, please recognize Representative Roel Gonzaga for his sponsorship remarks.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to our chair, Congressman Saldico, our vice chair, senior vice chair, Ma'am Stella Kembo, and our honorable guest, Ma'am Congresswoman, former President, Her Excellency, Ma'am Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, my colleagues, guests, judiciary, good morning. I don't have any sponsorship speech. Sir, Court Administrator Raul Villanueva, you have made the floor. Please proceed.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask your co-sponsor, Representative Attorney Jill Bongalon, if he wishes to give some remarks.
Good morning to our Chairman of the House Committee on Appropriations, Congressman Elizaldico, Senior Vice Chair, Congressman Estela Kimbo, to our Senior Deputy Speaker, Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, to our Minority Leader, Congressman Marcelino Libanan, to our esteemed colleagues, Justices of the Judiciary, guests, good morning. To the Honorable Justices, officials, and members of the Philippine Judiciary, headed by our Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Honorable Alexander G. Gismundo, to the members of this august body, ladies and gentlemen, again, good morning. It is with great honor that I render this message of support to the judiciary for their proposed budget for the fiscal year 2023. As a member of the Roll of Attorneys and Integrated Bar of the Philippines, I am no foreign to the plight and concerns of our arbiters of the law, the defenders of the supreme law, our Constitution. The support for the budget of the judiciary is a support to the democracy of our country. The support for the budget of the judiciary is a support to the ease and fast disposition of justice for the Filipinos. The support for the budget of the judiciary is a support to the insurance that every one of us will be able to stand strong as a nation of law-abiding citizens whose rights and welfare are being cradled by the laws of our land. With this, as Vice Chairperson of the House Committee on Appropriations and co-sponsor for the Judiciary, I am formally pronouncing my sponsorship for the budget of the Judiciary for the fiscal year 2023. Magandang umaga po at mabuhay ang sangay ng Hudikatura ng Pilipinas.
Court Administrator Raul Villanueva, you may now proceed with your presentation.
Maraming salamat po. Good morning, Your Honors, the Honorable Chairperson of this committee, the Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Elizalde Co. And pardon me if I cannot mention all the names of the Honorable Vice Chairpersons, except, of course, our sponsor, Congressman Ruel Gonzaga and Congressman Raul Angelo Bongalan. And, of course, Her Excellency, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, distinguished members who are present here, and those joining us online. May I ask if I can take off my mask, Your Honors?
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you for allowing me, Your Honors, to take off my mask. Although mentioned already, Your Honors, before I proceed with our presentation, I come here in representation of the committee, the 2023 Budget Committee of the Judiciary, regarding the budget proposal for 2023 for the entire judiciary, composed, of course, of the Supreme Court and the lower courts, the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, the Court of Appeals, the Sandigan Bayan, and the Court of Tax Appeals, and of course, all the lower courts nationwide. Likewise, Your Honors, I know that mentioned already were those present here, but allow me to just mention them again, because this is the presence of all our justices here, including the presiding justices, Your Honors, is a manifestation of our commitment, of course, and of course a recognition of our need insofar as carrying out what the Honorable Chairperson has mentioned, the innovations that our present Chief Justice has been implementing, Chief Justice Alexander Esmundo, as well as the way forward, especially during the next coming years, based on a strategic plan already approved by our Supreme Court Bank, anchored on three major outcomes, Your Honors. One on efficiency, second on innovation, and third on access to justice. So again, present, of course, leading our delegation is Associate Justice Mario Lopez. Then likewise present is Associate Justice Samuel Garland. The chairman of our budget committee, the Honorable Associate Justice Jose Maidas Marquez. Present are here the the presiding justices of the Court of Appeals. First, as a presiding justice, Remedios Salazar Fernando, then the presiding justice of the Sandigan Bayan, presiding justice Amparo Cabotahitang, and the presiding justice of the Court of Tax Appeals, the Honorable Roman Del Rosario, and the other members of the appellate courts from these three courts. And likewise present, headed by our Clerk of Court and Bank, Attorney Marife Cuevas, who is joining online. With that, Your Honors, and with your permission, of course, the message of our Chief Justice is we are going forward despite the challenges that we have met. And of course, we cannot do so without the support of Congress. And that's why we come here to present to you our budget as submitted and presented through the National Expenditure Program coming from the DBM. Next slide, please. So, Your Honors, the Judiciary's budget for 2023 is 52.72 billion. We propose for 2023 a total budget of 74.18 billion. But the National Expenditure Program, or based on the NEP, for 2023, the budget allocated for the entire judiciary is 52.72 billion. Compared to the previous budget or the current budget for 2022 of the judiciary, there is an increase of 5.74 billion for 2023 compared to the proposed budget of 74.18 billion. There is a variance of about 21.46 billion. Next slide, please. Per court, the variance insofar as the proposed 2023 judiciary budget and the 2023 NEP, or National Expenditure Program, are as follows. For the Supreme Court and the of the Philippines and the lower courts, the variance is about 19.46 billion, or about 31%. For the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, the variance is about 34.59 million, or about 17%. For the Court of Appeals, the variance is about 1.24 billion, or about 15.8%. For the Sandigan Bayan, the variance is about 477 million, or about 18%. And for the Court of Tax Appeals, the variance is about 247.9 million, or about 23.7%. Next slide, please. The per expense item, Your Honors, the distribution of the judiciary's 23 budget per the National Expenditure Program are as follows. The total sum of 27.52 billion is allocated for personal services, or about 52% of our entire budget of 52.72 billion. Then for MOE, Your Honors, the total of 9.08 billion represents 17% insofar as the expense items are concerned. For capital outlay, it is 4.7 billion, or 9% of the total 52.72 billion. Then for locally funded projects, it's about 3%. A total of 1.4 billion, Your Honors. And then for the non-operation budget, for the retirement and life insurance premium and the pension and gratuity fund, it's about 19%. Next slide, please. Your Honors, may I respectfully present to you that out of the total of 21.46 billion that were not considered as proposed by the judiciary in 2023, next slide, please. We are asking for reconsideration the total sum of, next slide, please, 2.8 billion, Your Honors. So in other words, that's only 13% of the items, the total items not considered for 2023 in the National Expenditure Program. Next slide, please. For the Supreme Court, out of that 2.8 billion, Your Honors, 1.87 billion is being requested by the Supreme Court, and for the lower courts, 1.46 billion is for personal services, and the total sum of 410 million for MOE. May I just put on record, Your Honors, that with respect to personal services, we would like to emphasize that there was no budget allocated for the Judicial Integrity Board. The Judicial Integrity Board, because of the amendment of Rule 140 of the Rules of Court, Your Honors, is now actually assisting the Supreme Court with respect to the administrative supervision of our judges and lower courts insofar as administrative concerns, when it comes to administrative concerns. Likewise, Your Honors, may I just respectfully point out as well that we are asking for a reconsideration of the lump sum needed in order to upgrade the salary grades of our first level clerks of courts in the total amount of 729 million. Further, Your Honors, we are asking, insofar as the MOE is concerned, the appropriation of the sum of 410 million, as mentioned already by the Honorable Chairperson, that this year marked the the start of the digitalized bar examinations and regionalized at that, Your Honors. And unfortunately, it appears per the National Expenditure Program for the budget of the Judiciary in 2023 that there is no allocation for this particular type of bar examinations. The chairperson of the bar examinations for 2023 is Associate Justice Ramon Paul Hernando, and in her letter, he mentioned that the amount needed is actually 534 million, but we're only asking for a reconsideration in the meantime of the total sum of 410 million, Your Honors. For the Court of Appeals, Your Honors, the total sum of 567.52 million is being requested for reconsideration. 365.3 million of which for personal services and 202.2 million for MOE. For the personal services, this pertains largely to other personal benefits. And then with respect to the MOE, the major items here pertain to supplies and materials, utility expenses, general services, and community expenses, as well as rent and lease expenses, Your Honors. For the Sandigan Bayan, what is being requested for reconsideration, Your Honors, is the total sum of 239 million pertaining to personal services items, particularly for other personal benefits, the creation of new positions, and upgrading and rectification of some positions, existing positions already in the Sandigan Bayan. Finally, Your Honors, with respect to the Court of Tax Appeals, the total sum of 124.8 million is being requested for reconsideration, pertaining largely to for personal services, for the lump sum appropriations needed for the creation of new position items and other compensations for the health insurance and other personal benefits, among others. For the special provisions, Your Honors, may we respectfully move that for reconsideration of this August body and this honorable committee and of the entire Congress, Your Honors, the special provisions pertaining to the special allowance of justices and judges, may we request that, as previously done in prior budgets already approved by Congress, when it comes to this special provision, that the wordings used, especially in the current JA RA 11639, be used. And the only amendment, Your Honors, would be the amount that we will be remitting in connection with the special allowance of justices and judges. For this year, Your Honors, we are remitting the total sum of 682 million. For next year, Your Honors, we are remitting the total sum of 697 million to the National Treasury in connection with the SADs, or the special allowance for justices and judges. Further, with respect to special provision number 7, Your Honors, we are asking again for your consideration, Your Honors, that this special provision number 7 on the maintenance and other operating expenses of lower courts be reworded, and to use the present wordings or language as appearing in RA 11639, wherein with respect to the disbursement of the maintenance and other operating expenses, or MOE, that the same shall be equitably allocated by the Supreme Court based on the standards prescribed for the lower courts by the said court. Next slide, please. May I just briefly, before I come to the conclusion of my presentation, Your Honors, state the Judiciary's mention the state of the Judiciary and some of its accomplishments. Of course, with respect to the Supreme Court, Your Honors, just for your information, we have authorized permanent positions of 1,936 personnel, which includes, of course, all our the Chief Justice and of the 14 Associate Justices, together with the court attorneys that provide assistance to all of them. Likewise, with respect to the lower courts, Your Honors, the judges, the total number of courts that we have right now is 2,720. If we include the judges at large, Your Honors, of about 150 as provided for by law, that would be around 2,870 first and second level courts, Your Honors, including all the family courts pursuant to that were created pursuant to RA 8369. For the lower court personnel, Your Honors, as of June 30, 2022, we have an authorized plantilla position of 33,709. Next, Your Honors, is the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. The authorized permanent positions is 151. For the Court of Appeals, Your Honors, the authorized permanent positions is 1,166. Included therein is, of course, the presiding justice and 68 associate justices, which are stationed in Manila, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro. Next is with respect to the Sandigan Bayan, a total of 395 authorized permanent positions, which includes, of course, the presiding justice and 20 associate justices, Your Honors. Then when it comes to the Court of Tax Appeals, a total of 265 authorized permanent positions, which includes the presiding justice and the 8 associate justices. Next slide, please. Your Honors, with respect to the adjudicative performance of the Supreme Court, for 2021, the accomplishment rate, this is computed, Your Honors, by taking the actual disposed cases and then divided by the target, as provided in the GAA. And for 2021, the accomplishment rate is 66%. But if you talk about the clearance rate, Your Honors, that is computed by getting the number of cases that were disposed over the number of cases that were filed. The accomplishment rate of the Supreme Court is, the clearance rate of the Supreme Court is more than 100%. In fact, in 2021, it is 110%. With respect to the adjudicative and bar matters, Your Honors, the accomplishment rate for 2021 of the Supreme Court is 77%. As of present, from January to June, or for the first semester of 2022, the accomplishment rate is 104%. For the lower courts, the regional trial courts, Your Honors, the accomplishment rate for 2021 is 144%. For the period January to June 2022, the accomplishment rate is 97%. This can be attributed, among others, Your Honors, to the continuous trial guidelines that have been implemented more than 3 years ago or 4 years ago, as well as, of course, the decision of the Supreme Court to allow plea bargaining in drugs cases. With respect to the first level courts, Your Honors, all our first level courts, the Metropolitan Trial Courts, the Municipal Trial Court in cities, the Municipal Trial Courts, the Municipal Circuit Trial Courts, and even the Sharia Circuit Courts, Your Honors. We are happy to report to all of you, Your Honors, that the accomplishment rate is more than 100%. All of these courts, Your Honors. With respect to the family court, which is equivalent in level with respect to the regional trial court, the accomplishment rate is also more than 100%. Next slide, please. Now we go to the Court of Appeals, Your Honors. Based on record, Your Honors, the accomplishment rate of the Court of Appeals for 2021 is 74%. For the period January to June 2022, it is 75%. But again, Your Honors, if we are going to consider the clearance rate is higher. It's close to 97. It's close to 100%. It's actually 97%, Your Honors. For the Sandigan Bayan, Your Honors, with respect to the accomplishment rates, for 2021, it is 146, so it's more than 100%. And then for the period January to June 2022, again, the Sandigan Bayan has a 127% accomplishment rate. With respect to the clearance rate, it is even higher, Your Honors. It is for 2020, it is 252%. For the Court of Tax Appeals, Your Honors, the accomplishment rate for 2021 is 123%. For the period January to June 2022, the accomplishment rate is 186%. Finally, Your Honors, with respect to the halls of justice nationwide, for your information, we have a total of about 300 Supreme Court-owned halls of justice, more than 700 halls of justice or single sala courts that are owned by our local government units. These mostly house our first level courts. So we have completed projects already with respect to the halls of justice. We have new constructions of about 5 halls of justices. We have repaired and rehabilitated 3 courts, and then a total of 15 provided or refurbished or provided with the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. We have ongoing projects pertaining to new constructions of halls of justice of about 11, repair and rehabilitation of about 13 as of June 30, 2022, and then emergency repair for 2 courts in Northern Samar, then refurbishment of Lisa property, which includes Makati City and Bacoor City, Imo City, and Legazpi City and Gimbal, which are ongoing, Your Honors. And for procurement with respect to construction based on the current budget of the judiciary, we are into procuring a contractor for 9 halls of justice for the procurement of a consultant to prepare our design, detailed architectural and engineering design, about 12, Your Honors, and for the procurement of project manager consultants of about 4. The Philippine Judicial Academy, Your Honors, which the budget of which is also included in the Supreme Court and lower courts. For your information, Your Honors, has conducted from January to December 2021 a total of 107 training programs, and which involved more than 11,000 participants, Your Honors, despite the challenges brought about by the pandemic. Likewise, Your Honors, may I just mention that the budget allocated for the Philippine Judicial Academy last year was, for this year, Your Honors, is 268.2 million. But for 2023, it was reduced to 251.5 million. But based on our review, Your Honors, this pertains to a non-recurring budget with respect to the provision for the construction or repair of the buildings for PILCHA. For the Judicial and Bar Council, Your Honors, the budget allocated for this year, 2022, is 74.1 million. For 2023, based on the National Expenditure Program, it's 80.5 million. The appointments received for January to December 2021 by the Judicial and Bar Council is 124 positions, Your Honors. For January to June 2022, it's 178 judicial positions. For the mandatory continuing legal education, Your Honors, the budget given for this year is 18.6 million. For 2023, it's 21. It was increased to 21.5 million. The mandatory continuing legal education monitors the conduct of the MCLE programs, Your Honors. This is the office that issues the certificates of compliance or exemptions of lawyers who are required to undergo the MCLE as provided for in Bar Matter number 850, and recommends the policies for implementation during every compliance period. In fact, this is the MCLE was able to secure clearance from the Supreme Court in order to extend the compliance period, which ended in April of this year to April of next year, Your Honors. Finally, Your Honors, there is what we refer to as Justice Sector Coordinating Council, where the co-principals are the Supreme Court, the Department of Justice, and the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Through this Justice Sector Coordinating Council, we'd like to inform you, Your Honors, that 9 justice zones were created, wherein the aim is to increase the coordination among the justice sector stakeholders, which belong to the judiciary, to the DILG, and to the DOJ. Thank you very much, Your Honors, for your kind attention. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Thank you, Court Administrator Villanueva. While you are catching your breath, okay, let me first acknowledge the presence of additional members. We have Deputy Majority Leader David J.J. Suarez. Good morning po. Representative Sergio Dagoc, Representative Loreto Acharon, Representative Arlene Brosas, Representative Marisa Magsino, Representative Bienvenido Abante. We also have Deputy Minority Leader Bem Noel and Representative Attorney Juliet Ferrer. All right, so at this point, we shall begin interpellation. But first, some reminders for our colleagues. So each member would only have 5 minutes for your questions, and that would exclude the responses of our resource persons. And when you hear the bell, which sounds like this, like a doorbell, ayun, ibig sabihin po noon, mag-wind up na tayo, you only have 30 seconds left. And as part of a long-standing and cherished tradition of the House of Representatives, we accord preferential treatment to the minority members of the House, and they shall be followed by the majority members in an alternating manner. So at this point, I'd like to yield the chair to our lead sponsor, Rep. Roel Gonzaga. So first to interpellate.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. We would like to recognize the first to interpellate, the minority floor leader, Marcelino Libanan. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Justice Raul Villanueva, for your presentation. Before I proceed with my questions, I would like to greet Justice Sam Garland, our friend with Congressman Wilbert Lee, and of course Justice Mario Lopez, whom I worked with during the passage of the survivorship of the members of the Judiciary when I was chairman of the Committee on Justice. I know how you work in the Supreme Court during my tenure as member, and of course, Justice Maidas Marquez, who was the spokesperson during that time. First, I would like to congratulate you on your first digitalized bar examination. It was superb and it was successful. Second is that I would like also to congratulate you how you fared through the pandemic. You metamorphosed easily, and I think this is the first time that the pandemic was a very good stimulus for our processes in our courts because you digitalized our pleadings, and actually court processes became faster than before. So congratulations for that. In my observation, however, you have around 28% unfilled members in the lower courts, in the RTC, and in our employees and personnel. We would understand this because the Judicial and Bar Council cannot meet during the pandemic. So I hope we can catch up on that, because to strengthen the Judiciary would strengthen our democracy. And your request of 74 billion, which was reduced to 52 billion, I think we can understand that this happens in executive budget considerations. However, the variance of 2.8 billion is justified so that we can catch up on our development of the judiciary, your training for your court personnel and modernization, so that Congressman Rodante Marcoleta and Congressman Wilbert Lee, I have talked with them, and they were saying that if the majority would move to approve this, as minority leader, this representation would be with them to give you this 2.8 billion increase in your budget. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir. Next to interpolate comes from the majority, Representative Roy Loyola, please.
Mr. Chair, to our Senior Deputy Speaker, Madam Gloria Papagalaroyo, to my dear colleagues and to the members of the Judiciary, good morning. I have no question to the budget of the Judiciary. However, allow me to make a short manifestation. Justice delay is justice denied. The rendition of speedy justice is one of the most sacred and essential responsibility of government, specifically mandated by our Constitution. I know the problem of lack of courts and judges is an old and perennial one. It can only be addressed simply by increasing the number of courts. While I fully understand the Department of Budget Management on its cuts on the Judiciary's proposed budget vis-a-vis our limited resources. This representation respectfully manifests this committee that I fully support any and all items in the proposed judiciary budget for 2023. However, if there is a way to increase the budget of the judiciary to respond to this enormous problem by restoring the original proposed budget of 74 billion pesos, I will be glad to support it, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Kong Loyola. Next comes from the minority, Representative Ramon Rodrigo Gutierrez.
Mr. Justice, thank you. Honorable Justices, good morning. Actually, my question was centered around the dispositionary targets, but as the good justice has already answered the same, and understanding that the clearance rate is actually much higher, this representation is actually satisfied already. And in the spirit of, in support of the fiscal autonomy of the good judiciary, I will be waiving my right to interpolate. And at this juncture, I would just like to manifest my support as a member of the bar myself for any variants that they may request. That I hope this good committee would give it proper consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Kong Gutierrez. Next, Congressman Representative Franz Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang umaga po sa ating taga-judiciary. So yung unang tanong ko, Mr. Chair, can we have an update on the status of cases related to Duterte administration's bloody war on drugs? How many are filed and remain pending before the courts? According to PDEA po kasi, February 28, 2022, there are 6,235 persons died. So during the anti-drug operations, are these cases filed? Can you give us an update?
Well, Your Honors, Your Honor, what I can give you, Your Honor, is a data on the number of drug cases that are pending before our courts. It's about 50,000, Your Honors. Of course, with respect to whether or not any related matter insofar as these drug cases are concerned, normally that is considered as those are considered as common crimes, resulting to perhaps if you were referring to the drug campaign, Your Honors, that may have resulted to some physical violence or anything of that sort, Your Honors. That is not something that we formally track, Your Honors, because our basis for tracking is all the number of, for example, common crimes that are being filed, and of course, specifically the drugs cases, which is in connection with the violation of RA 9165, Your Honor.
So you don't have an update dito po sa mga cases na to, running 6 years na to yung mga cases ng namatay sa namatay doon sa encounter or sa nagkaroon ng violent.
Ang masasabi ko nga lang po, normally pagka yung data po namin are those with respect to yung sa drugs cases po, with respect to violations of RA 9165. Pero yung specific matter regarding yung any related incident to that, Your Honors, we will have to look into it, Your Honors, kasi spread out po yan all over the country, and it's reported to us as for example murder or any other form of killing, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, tatanungin ko ulit ito sa plenary.
Yes po.
Kung kasi related din ito dun sa trabaho talaga din ng PNP.
Yes,
kung
naintindihan po namin.
nakapag-file din sila ng cases o na-filean din ng cases, yung mga PNP na involved din dito sa
Yes po.
sa war on drugs.
If you will allow us, Your Honor, we will check also the data for purposes of us coming up with our report on the matter. Thank you po.
Next, Mr. Chair, the Philippines is the seventh deadliest country in the country for journalists. There are 13 unsolved media murders within a span of 10 years, according to the 2021 Global Impunity Index of the Committee to Protect Journalists, or CPJ. In 2015 and 2021, the Philippines is the second and sixth highest in killings of human rights defenders worldwide, respectively, according to the report from the Frontline Defenders. In 2021 alone, Frontline Defenders recorded 16 killings of human rights defenders in the country. Can you comment on that?
Well, Your Honors, of course, the judiciary has a role, insofar as those kinds of crimes are concerned. Once cases are filed before our different courts, nationwide. So, of course, with respect to the progress of all of these cases, we assure you that so long as the prosecution thereof is being pursued, then definitely you can expect our courts to continue hearing these cases, Your Honors. Whether it's really, especially when it comes to killings, Your Honors, the Supreme Court and the Office of the Court Administrator has been reminding our judges to always give priority to these kinds of cases, Your Honors. And if I may add, Your Honors, because of the continuous trial guidelines, actually these cases are properly being attended to as well, Your Honors.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pero nakakaya tayo, kahit na sinasabi nating marami tayong accomplishments sa mga cases, pero yung itong mga human rights violations ay number 1, number 6, number 2 and 6 tayo doon sa doon sa survey. Pero it doesn't speak well of our judiciary kung ganon. Tama ba ako?
Perhaps, Your Honor, if you can furnish us copies thereof, we can look into it. But what I can say is this, Your Honor, I know that there are committees, even in the Office of the President, Your Honors, in the past, so where I was involved, Your Honor, that they were monitoring these kinds of killings. Perhaps I will just have to see if they have continued their efforts to monitor these kinds of cases, Your Honor, so that we will also involve ourselves regarding this effort.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the 18th Congress, Representative Sarate of the Bayan Muna got a commitment from Court Administrator Midas Marquez that they will review the procedure of the writ of amparo to strengthen the writ of amparo. May we have an update on this, Mr. Chair?
I was informed, Your Honor, by now Associate Justice Midas Marquez that there is a committee already reviewing the writ of amparo, and this is headed by Justice Senior Associate Justice Marvic Leonen, Your Honor.
O kailan po matatapos yung review?
Knowing how fast the justices right now work, especially with respect to what is given to them in their respective committees, I'm sure it will not take long, Your Honor.
How about habeas data?
That is included, Your Honors. But I hope you understand that aside from the justices working on this, they also consult with the stakeholders or those who may be involved with respect to this review and of course to enhance these rules as you mentioned, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, thank you po. Yung pong yung pong institutionalization of writ of kalayaan. So maganda sana magkaroon ng writ of kalayaan at mapakinabangan ngayon lalo pat mayroon pa ring pandemya at mataas ang jail congestion. So ano po yung update dito?
I think that is also one of the areas being looked into, Your Honor. If we're talking about detainees insofar as writ of kalayaan is concerned, there are already efforts, Your Honors. In fact, we have the Office of the Court Administrator has issued a lot of circulars even during the pandemic in order to ensure that those who are entitled while their cases are pending can be allowed provisional liberty. Or likewise, those who have served their sentence, Your Honors, that they be released already if they have served their sentence without any order coming from the courts for the release, Your Honor. So all of these things, together with the committee headed by Senior Associate Justice Leonen, are geared. All these efforts are geared towards that, Your Honor.
Namo-monitor nyo ba to? Kasi kung meron kayong ganong admin memo, so are you monitoring that? Can we have a report on that
Yes,
before the plenary? No?
We will gladly give it to you later. Po, if I can locate it because I think I saw it as one of the data that I have, Your Honor. I can give it to you already. Maraming salamat po.
While we laud the Supreme Court for its recent granting of writ of amparo for the two missing organizers or workers and for the widow of Cristina Gonzalez of the Victimo Celito of Duterte's war on drug, mas marami pang mga mamayan ang matutulungan kung ma-update natin yung mga protective writ. Kasi kung magagamit ito ng mga mamayan natin, 'di ba, yung protection para sa ating mamamayan ay mas mataas sana. So, yun po sana Mr. Chair, sana maano natin ito na maayos natin itong mga binanggit nating mga protective writ.
Yes po, Your Honor. I think the present court right now under the watch of Chief Justice Alexander Hesmundo is proactive, Your Honors, and insofar as protecting rights are concerned. So you can be assured, Your Honor, that these are being looked into, and every effort will be exerted towards seeing to it that these protective writs are implemented to its fullest.
At Mr. Chair, baka pwede ako bigyan ng judiciary yung time frame na maayos itong mga binanggit nating mga protective writ. Alam ba yung kalayaan, amparo, at saka yung habeas corpus. Pwede niyo po ba kang mabigyan ng time frame kung paano maayos yung guidelines?
Yes po, I will have to refer it, Your Honor, to the chairperson of the committee, concerned committee, perhaps even before the plenary deliberation on the judiciary's budget. Will be able to provide you the timeline that you are requesting, Your Honor.
And lastly, Mr. Chair, napansin natin na talagang mababa, inislash ng 21 billion yung budget na hindi na isama sa DBCC, NEP. At alam naman ng Judiciary, Mr. Chair, na yung teachers party list ay laging nagmo-move to yung mga cuts, ibalik yung mga cuts dito sa Judiciary. So I joined the minority leader, Mr. Chair, na maibalik din ito. Pero napansin natin, Mr. Chair, yung mga personnel. So ang daming mga unfilled position, maraming mga not permanent. Ano ba ang ginagawa ng Judiciary? Tanong ko lang, nagtitipid ba tayo?
Ano?
Kasi bakit hindi natin pinifill upan itong mga unfilled positions ay marami namang authorized position na dapat na fill upan?
Actually, Your Honor, we're doubling our effort to fill the vacancies. In fact, our selection and promotion board is meeting on a daily basis every Monday, Your Honor, for purposes of making deciding on these applications. If I may say so, Your Honor, in fact, the Chief Justice even allowed to expedite the processing of issuing the notice of vacancy by approving the recommendation that these notices of vacancies need not pass through the office of the Chief Justice, and instead can already be decided by or at least acted upon by the office of the court administrator. So all of these, many adjustments are being done, Your Honor. Some of these vacancies are actually because there are unorganized courts in the meantime because of lack of funding, or we are still asking for the NOSCA, Your Honors. But all vacancies, the instruction and the directive that we got from the Chief Justice and the Bank, Your Honor, is to fill them regardless of the caseload of each and every court that may be involved, or even whether or not it is in a remote area or not, Your Honor. That is the mandate given to us. That's why we're working doubly hard to fill these vacancies. We're not making any savings, Your Honor. We're just doing everything we could in order to fill these vacancies as soon as possible time.
So,
Ma'am Castro,
I'm wrapping up.
one last question.
Yes, I'm wrapping up, Mr.
Please do
Chair.
so.
So, siguro kailangan tama yun, no? You have to be to double your effort para ma-fill upan yan. Kasi katulad ng mga teachers overwork yung mga court of clerks natin, etc. Kaya dapat one last question na lang po, Mr. Chair. Yung kaso ni former Senator De Lima. So ano po ba yung magagawa ng korte rito para mas mapabilis natin? Laging naglalag na yung kaso ni former Senator De Lima. So ano po yung update natin dito? Yun na lang po, Mr. Chair, yung last question. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. I think even based on reports, although we're monitoring it, Your Honor, only two remain insofar as these cases are concerned filed against her. And likewise, Your Honor, it is being heard continuously by the assigned judges, two RTC judges in RTC Muntinlupa. And so long as the parties would be able to present their evidence, Your Honor, in due time, this will already be submitted for decision. So I think with the rate things are going, my view is that before the end of the year, there may be these cases may be submitted for decision already.
Follow up,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair. Last na po.
No, ma'am, your time is up. Wait for the second round, please. Thank you. Next, we have from the majority, Representative Bambam Imano.
Bambi, Mr. Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, and Ma'am PGMA, and of course the bosses in the Judiciary. Sir, I actually have only 2 points, Madam, and was governor for 9 years in Misamis Oriental, and I was been given opportunity to head the infra committee. And one of the challenges, not only in Region 10, but nationwide, is actually when we implement programs, projects, especially with DPWH, we have road right-of-way issues. And having been using the cash-based budgeting, there are chances that if projects are not implemented, it reverts to the national government. One of the proposals that we had with Infracom was to hopefully, if possible, we may be assigned, or not nationwide be assigned, a special court for road right-of-way issues. Would that be possible, Madam Chair?
Your Honor, actually, that is very possible because, in fact, we have already designated a number of special expropriation courts to handle right-of-way issues, Your Honor. And second, rules or guidelines have been issued already to remind the judges that with respect to these kinds of cases, they have to act on it, issue the writ of possession, especially when the required deposit is already turned over to the clerk of court. So insofar as these matters are concerned, Your Honor, we have been proactive to see to it that projects of the government will not be delayed, whether by the national or local government, especially with respect to these right-of-way issues.
Yeah. Would it be possible for additional like a special court for road right-of-way issues, sir?
I think there is already in Cagayan de Oro, but if there is none, Your Honor, then definitely we will make immediately the recommendation to include one in Cagayan de Oro, Your Honor.
Wonderful, very wonderful. We actually are implementing programs and projects, and DPWH, every time we have meetings with them of challenges with the road right-of-way. But we'll be honored and thankful if one will be given to the city of Cagayan de Oro, maybe for the use of Region 10. Thank you very much. And of course, the other, Madam Chair, Sir Knight, is that like my other colleagues, we wish that it has been shown and we have seen 90% of all departments, almost 100% and even more accomplishment for the Office of the Judiciary. And I too will support any move if we can find a way or funds where we will be able to put back the needed budget of the Judiciary. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Congressman Imano. Next, from the minority, Representative Marisa Magsina.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, to our Associate Justice Garland, Lope, Maidas Marquez, a longtime good friend, to our honorable justices of the Court of Tax Appeal, Sandigan Bayan, and the Court of Appeals. We are glad that you are here with us today, and definitely my minority leader and being the assistant minority leader have spoken, definitely will be supporting the budget of the judiciary. In my case, being the OFW party list lone representative in the 19th Congress, I have a brief meeting with Justice Maidas Marquez when we were with the Chief Justice Gismundo, that they will be having a program for our overseas Filipino workers that is definitely a sound, salient, and very beneficial to our OFWs and OF as well. May we have a brief summary of this program?
Your Honor, no less than Justice Jose Maidas Marquez is heading the committee that is reviewing our guidelines on the conduct of video conferencing, so as to make it so as to enhance it, because there is an issue regarding those who are testifying from abroad, especially those involving OFWs or overseas Filipino workers, Your Honors. And that is something that is already being reviewed, because initially it is very strict in the sense that those who are testifying via video conferencing abroad can only do so before inside our embassies or consulates. But with the review right now being done through Justice Maidas Marquez, that is something that we will make sure will not be limited only to those particular areas, Your Honor. So that's the thing that we're doing right now. And I think that's the reason why he is the chairperson, because I think there is a commitment to deliver what is needed by our OFWs, Your Honor, among others.
Thank you. And also, we would like to offer our assistance, especially for our incoming television program, to be able to have a very good partnership with the program of this judiciary. And also, may I ask, being charged and ensuring, of course, the promise of an equal protection under the law of everybody, the OFWs, the overseas, all of us, the labor sector, and our families. We would like to ask, being given the allocation for the construction, completion, repair, and rehabilitation of our Hall of Justices nationwide, that is at least 1.2 billion pesos, may I ask, is this also including the judicial districts with expanded number of branches? Are they included? And is this sufficient enough for the purpose when it comes to the budget?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, all budgets for construction take into account the number of courts, whether there are existing courts or there are newly created courts, Your Honor. So definitely all of these items in the agenda included in the GAA for construction and repair and rehabilitation, even in previous budgets, Your Honors, appropriation bills, Your Honors, they have taken into account this the number of courts in each and every Hall of Justice.
Oh, that's very good. One more thing po. The special provision number 3 for the Supreme Court and the lower courts allocate 2.8 billion, which will be used exclusively to cover the maintenance and other operating expenses requirements of the lower courts, which will be released directly to the lower courts upon issuance by the Supreme Court of an advisory to all lower courts not to receive MOOE funding support from the LGUs. Currently, may we have the lower courts, how many lower courts receive MOOE funding support from our LGUs, and do we have an aggregate amount of the support given by the year 2020 and 2021? The reason is we would like to arrive at an objective assessment if the amount allocated by the special provision will be sufficient for the purpose, because we fully support the budget of our judiciary.
Maraming salamat po. But with respect to that special provision number 7, Your Honor, actually we're asking for a rewording because part of that rewording that we're asking is to actually remove that, because there is no need. We have a standard. We have a policy, a program right now that we're implementing, directly giving the MOE budget to some of our pilot courts, so that there is no need for them to ask for MOE support from the LGUs, Your Honor.
Wow, thank you so much. It is well said, well noted. You can count our full support for the judiciary budget. We need you there. Thank you so much. God bless.
Maraming salamat
Mr.
po.
Speaker, thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, from the majority, Representative Juliet Ferrer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any question. I just have a manifestation. I just want to join my colleagues in supporting the budget of the judiciary, and I agree that it should be increased. I will get my chance to ask more questions because we have our briefing next week for the Committee on Justice. I am the new chairman, so it's the first time I'll get to meet the judiciary today, but I know I will be working with you for the next 3 years. So that is all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Your Honor, the chairman of the Justice Committee. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, from the minority, Representative Arlene Bros.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Maraming salamat po. This representation would like to commend some of the recent decisions promulgated by the Supreme Court which protect women and children. Meron po kayong tatlo na nailabas nung nakaraan, no? Under the 2021 case of Tan Andal versus Andal, the Supreme Court modified the Molina Doctrine by pronouncing that psychological incapacity is not a medical or psychological disorder, nor does it need to be permanent and incurable. As such, the testimony of a psychologist or a psychiatrist is not mandatorily required. So ito po, instead, it is a personal condition which prevents one spouse from fulfilling their basic marital obligations to the other, and which may have existed at the time of marriage, but may be revealed through their behavior after the wedding ceremony. This less stringent way of interpreting what psychological incapacity means paves the way for more women who are stuck in abusive relationships to avail of the remedy of declaration of absolute nullity of marriage. Furthermore, the removal of the strict requirement of expert testimony to prove the mental or psychological condition of the incapacitated spouse eases the financial burden of abused women in filing a case to void their marriages under the Section 36 of the Family Code. Yun po, no, maraming salamat doon. And yung recent issue ng 2022, Cabañas versus AAA, yung upheld a permanent protection order issued against a married man in favor of his longtime live-in partner and their children. The Supreme Court held that RA number 9262, or the anti-vowsy law, protects all women from their abusive relationships, whether their partner is married or not. This protection extends to their children, even if they are already of legal age at the time of issuance of the PPO. The jurisprudence strengthens the spirit
of the anti-vowsy law and reaffirms that all women and their children are protected by the law regardless of the marital status of their partner. And yung last po, yung the Supreme Court has also recently issued OCA Circular number 157/2022A, which presented a list of laws on marriage and divorce of different countries which have been provided by Department of Foreign Affairs. Yan po yung meron po listahan, ano? And authenticated by proper authorities of the concerned countries. The Supreme Court has made this list digitally accessible and has already explained their authenticity and usability as reference for use by the judiciary to resolve cases for recognition of foreign divorce in the Philippines. This recognition of foreign divorce laws by the judiciary eases the burden of the spouse filing for recognition of her foreign divorce here to prove such laws exist. Yun po, kinokomend lang namin yung tatlong commendable po na nagawa ng judiciary. Pero meron po akong last na tanong. Ito naman po ay, well, first of all, we laud the efforts of the Supreme Court also towards the threats and killings of lawyers and judges in the country. Ang sabi po ninyo, no, every threat to a lawyer or a judge that prevents them from exercising their functions has very serious repercussions on the idea that the rule of law must be accessible in an impartial and transparent manner to all parties. Every right guaranteed in the Constitution must be protected. Kami po bilang mga umaasa sa legal services ng human rights defenders, we fully agree. Bawat threat sa kanila ay threat din sa mga karapatan namin, sa mga karapatan ng mga sektor na kinakatawan namin. Kapag sila po ni Red Tag, tinatakot, tinatangka, tinutuluyang paslangin, nilalagay rin sa panganib ang buhay at kaligtasan namin. Ngayon po, ang tanong ko po, any update on the compliance of courts, the DOJ, NBI, etc.? Ano po kayang magagawa ng Supreme Court ngayon tungkol dito? Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Before you answer, sir, that would be your last question. Go ahead.
Yes po,
Sir.
Hindi ko lang nakuha yung last point, Your Honor. Pasensya na kayo kasi I was noting that the three cases that you mentioned earlier.
Opo, yung question ko po kasi kaugnay naman
Ayun
ito.
tungkol sa killings po ng I stand by pardon me, Your Honor. Yes, I got what you mentioned earlier, that of course we are very much conscious. The court, in fact, came up with a statement regarding the impact of killings of judges and lawyers. The number of cases, if that is what you're asking, Your Honors, by way of update. Well, insofar as our judges are concerned, based on our record, it's really difficult for us to be able not to run after those who may have perpetrated the crime because one way or the other, a determined assassin is something that is difficult, to try to apprehend or even submit or subject to our legal processes. And I think that is also something that we are experiencing insofar as lawyers are concerned. But the call is really the reason why there is that reminder, Your Honor, is to simply emphasize the fact that aside from us waiting for cases to be filed in order to address this through judicial processes, Your Honors, it is also something that we can consider as the function of other agencies, which we feel should also try to help address the situation. Siguro yun lang po ang pwede po namin masabi, because like I said, it's only when cases are filed, as we mentioned, Your Honor, that our role in the judiciary comes into play, Your Honor.
Sir Vice Chair, ang gusto ko lang po sana ay commitment for consultation or review, at the very least, nung mga cases yun, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair.
Insofar as consultation is concerned, Your Honor, definitely that is something that we're very much open with. In fact, you just point to us, Your Honor, to whom you would want us to coordinate, and you can be assured, Your Honor, that we will gladly meet with any of them, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair.
You're welcome. Before we proceed, we would like to recognize the presence of Representative Jervil Rueslo. Next, we have Representative Loreto Acharon.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Vice Chairman. Good morning, Honorable Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice of the Sindigan Bayan and the Court of Appeals. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. I just have one quick question about your the Justice on Wheels program. I'd like to know, is this being implemented at this time, or is this entirely scrapped or abolished?
It's still it is a program that we continue to maintain and have, Your Honor. At present, because of the pandemic, so it's difficult for us to set Justice on Wheels programs in different parts of the country. But while waiting to be able to at least ensure the safety and health of everyone, it is now being enhanced, Your Honor. It's being reviewed, and in fact, that is included in the outcomes mentioned in the strategic plan, that insofar as the EJO is concerned, this will not only involve the conduct of hearings in areas where these are held, but also to involve other aspects wherein we can deliver justice, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, I'd like to know if there is a item budgeted for that for this year's or this 2023 judiciary budget?
Usually it's in the MOE, Your Honor, because most of those who are involved in that are already officials or employed with the judiciary. So much of the budget will pertain to MOE items, Your Honor. And by way of stressing, Your Honor, we are trying to reach the underserved and the underprivileged through this Enhanced Justice on Wheels program. That's the reason why it is further being strengthened, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, I'd like to know if there is a statistics or report on the accomplishment of the implementation of that Justice on Wheels system, because while I appreciate the wisdom of the program, in my place in General Santos City, it's not really doing good, because instead of helping dispose cases speedily, it has contributed to the delay, because the buses will have to go to far places, the litigants will have to travel also, and then most of the time the judges are also coming in late. Instead of the 8:30 scheduled hearing, they will arrive at 10, 11 o'clock. So there's not enough time for the calling of the cases. So, thank you.
If I may, Your Honor, actually the Justice on Wheels program, the concept is that we conduct Justice on Wheels activities one day or the whole day, Your Honors. So everything is being done based on the timelines that we follow. We start very early in the morning when we launch it. I think what you're referring to, Your Honors, is after every EJO activity, wherein the EJO bus is being used sometimes to assist some of our judges who may have some challenges regarding their court facilities. We are looking into that. That is not the main. That is not the main thrust of the activity, but it is only intended to provide assistance regarding this particular area. But we will look into that, Your Honor. If it is causing a little delay, it's not because of the EJO itself, Your Honor, but perhaps because of the use of the bus. So we will look into that po.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no further questions. Thank you, Justice Villarta.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. From the minority, Representative Sergio Dago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. This representation would just like to ask clarification on the proposed special provision number 7, deleting the sentence that this MOOA will be directly released to the lower courts. Ano po yung, Your Honor, yung dahilan bakit tinanggal yung directly released to the lower courts?
Your Honor, may I just respectfully state that what we are having right now is we're pilot testing the guidelines to directly release the MOE budget to our trial court. So in other words, we are already doing that, Your Honors. Almost 51% of our courts are already included in that particular program. But that's a reason why, Your Honors, we're asking that the wordings used in the past 5 years or so, Your Honor, regarding that special provision, we still be adopted because we are continuing the pilot testing of the MOE interim guidelines. And then sooner or later, Your Honor, there is no need for that particular provision because we are actually doing the direct release already with respect to the MOE budget, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, is there any, with all due respect, is there any legal problem if the same wordings will not be deleted?
We are not asking for it to be deleted per se, Your Honor, but what is provided in the present, in the way it is worded right now, Your Honor, is that the entire budget, for example, of 2.8 billion will be distributed directly and then equivalent amounts are to be given, for example, for one branch of an RTC in any part of the country. So what we're saying right now, Your Honor, is that that is not something that can be done because there are budget. If you give directly the amount, the entire amount to all the courts, there are problems regarding first the procurement, second the liquidation, Your Honor, of all of these budgets that are direct release without providing the mechanism for the same. What we're doing right now is we have provided the mechanism, Your Honor. We have provided the amounts that will be released through the interim guidelines, Your Honors, and that's one thing that we are trying to complete, Your Honor, so that effectively we have complied with with the requirement regarding the MOE budget, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to ask if the MOOA includes the budget for the payment of utilities like water, electricity, and telephones.
Yes, Your Honor, that is included, Your Honor. The payment of utilities for water, electricity, and the like, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, Justice Marquez is aware of this issue of mine because I brought this to his attention when he was still the court administrator, the payment of electric bills. As a matter of fact, we have already met online, I think twice, because of the delayed payment of, sorry to say that this is not new to Justice Marquez. But until now, despite our meetings, the payment of electric bills is still to electric cooperatives has been delayed for 3 months, 4 months. As a matter of fact, I myself is paying. I am subsidizing, just to be able to let the courts continue doing their job without disrupting the electricity. So binabayaran ko po minsan, umaabot na minsan 3 buwan, 50,000. So medyo, I think at this point in time, we need to resolve. And this is happening all over the country. Kaya paulit-ulit ko po itong idinolog. Alam po to ni Justice Marquez.
Your Honor, with due respect, yes, we understand that there is a problem. That's why we made adjustments, Your Honor. First, this matter about the electric bills. Usually we receive the bills after the prior month, So in other words, they bill us, and this bill sometimes it's being sent to our courts. Then the courts send it to our office. At this point in time, it's still being centralized because all of these utilities, will have to be attended to by one office in the office of the court administrator. That's the office on Halls of Justice. But Your Honor, what we did was instead of waiting for the original billings, we already allowed that the electronic copies be sent immediately for purposes of preparing the payment. So usually it's delayed because we wait for, and then if it's sent
through mail, then it takes a longer period of time. That's the reason why perhaps, Your Honor, that there is a delay sometimes. Second, Your Honor, we have been asking all of these providers that they open a land bank account so that it can be easier for us to make it bank to bank, Your Honor. Unfortunately, not all of them are agreeing to it. But the directive of the Chief Justice is to actually, hopefully, we can force the issue so that there will be no problems like that anymore. And then finally, Your Honor, I hope you understand that the billings that are being sent will have to be also audited. We have to check before we make the payment. But it only takes a little while, no, for us to do that, so long as we get the billings, Your Honor.
In our case, Mr. Chair, no, it will take 4 to 5 months. I have done already what you have said, no, per advice of the former court administrator that we will open a land bank account. We have done that. They have already given us the email address of the in charge. We have done that already, but still, that's why I am still reiterating this issue. I hope this is the last time. Kasi may budget naman po tayo. Every year, we've been supportive of the budget of the judiciary. So sana po, this will be the last now. Kasi ako rin, nahihiya na rin ako. Kaya lang, malalaki kasi yung amount kung minsan, 4 na buwan. Ako, may sisingilin ako sa inyo, 60,000. Malaki na sa akin yon. So, Mr. Chair, this representation would like also to manifest my, as in the previous budget hearing, my support to the judiciary's budget. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po, Your Honor. If I may say, we commit, Your Honor, that this will be duly addressed even before, hopefully before the plenary will be done with that already, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next, from the majority, we have Representative Jerville Luestro.
Good morning to our honorable justices and of course, our honorable court administrator and to my distinguished colleagues in the 19th Congress. This representation is likewise a member of the bar. And we are sitting as one of the vice chairpersons of the Committee on Justice of the 19th Congress. Certainly, I wish to express my fullest support to the budget of the judiciary, and if possible, even to its increase. This is more of a manifestation. Recently, the DOJ, through our Honorable Secretary, acknowledged that there were occasions when, or there are occasions when, the prosecution arm is being used in the filing of unfounded or worse, fabricated cases of capital offenses that leads to the issuance of warrant of arrest, deprivation of liberty of the accused. I wish to solicit the support of the Supreme Court, considering its rule-making power, in my effort to revisit the rules on preliminary investigation, hoping that we will put an end to the practice of unscrupulous personalities in filing unfounded and fabricated cases. Mr. Chair.
Well, Your Honor, we definitely would support any move in order to improve the determination of the filing of any case. The threshold right now is probable cause. There are suggestions that the criteria should be increased so as to avoid the filing of these kinds of cases, Your Honors. But of course, for your information, the rules on criminal procedure is also likewise being reviewed, wherein, of course, a portion of that includes this particular matter. But I am not sure if a legislation is needed insofar as that is concerned. But you can be assured that during that review, I think the Supreme Court will make it a point to see to it that this will not be abused, these rules that will be promulgated.
We definitely appreciate, Your Honor, the action of the judiciary in reviewing the rules of court, and that would include our rules on preliminary investigation. Of course, I understand we also have a judicial determination of probable cause, but I really wish that we can tighten the rules on preliminary investigation so as to deter the fabrication of cases at the earliest possible time. Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you rin po, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Congressman Luestro. Next, we have from the minority, Representative Wilbert Lee.
Morning, Mr. Chair, to our esteemed guests from the Judiciary, Justice Sam Garland, good friend, Justice Maidas Marquez, Justice Mario Lopez, to the presiding justice of the Court of Appeal, Justice Fernando, to the presiding justice of the Court of Tax Appeal, and Justice Edwin Sorongon, and to all our other esteemed guests. Good morning. Just a few questions, Madam Chair. Mr. Chair, I noticed in the budget, and to court ad Raul Villanueva. Sorry, I miss. Just a few questions. No? I noticed in your presentation that your budget was slashed by 21.4 billion, from 74 billion to around
52 billion.
52 billion. All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
May I know kung ano itong inalis na to? Kasi ang na-notice ko, your budget for personnel was only 43 billion, which is about 82% of your 52 billion. So 18% na lang yung naiwan. No? So may I know kung itong naalis na 21 billion, para saan ba ito? Kasi makaka-apekto ba ito ng ano? Kasi yung 18%, I guess, yung maiiwan doon, kung yung 82% nasa personnel, yung 18% will go to court modernization, training of personnel, and whatever. Would this be enough? Kasi I've been to courts all sa ibang lugar na kawawa na may itsura talaga. Meron tayong ibang courts dito sa Manila, ang ganda na itsura. Pagdating mo sa probinsya, parang nakakahiya yung itsura no ng mga court. May mga nakita akong courts na yung sahig kahoy pa talaga. No, tapos yung iba, yung CR walang mga tubig, walang mga gano'n no in areas na gano'n. So ang tanong ko lang, saan ba itong inalis na to na 21 billion?
Well, for the entire judiciary, Your Honor, most of these pertain to other personal benefits, no, among others, and then some MOE items pertaining to expenses for rent, for lease, sometimes with respect to maintenance of and procurement of equipment, and some capital outlay, Your Honors. But so that's where the entire 21 billion across the entire judiciary was taken or were taken, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Chair, together with the minority leader, I hope that our esteemed colleagues would approve or grant the entire 21 billion increase to the judiciary. Kasi parang nakakahiya naman talaga yung courts natin if yung, I mean, sabi ni Court Ad is some of this would go for capital outlay for modernization of the court. So I would encourage my esteemed colleague to, if possible, though, we could grant the entire 21 billion na inalis ng DBM no to judiciary no para naman no magawa nila na hindi naman nakakahiya ang ating mga courts and also for the training of their personnel. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed, we would like to recognize the presence of Representative James Ang Jr. and Representative Medi Chua. Next, we have from the majority, Representative Richard Gomez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning to our committee and to all the members of the Judiciary. Good morning. My concern number one, yesterday when we had an orientation with the Philippine National Police and the Committee for Dangerous Drugs, they reported that the conviction rate for drug cases was only 0.88%. That's less than 1% of all drug cases that are in courts right now. And I was dumbfounded with what they were presenting to me, with the numerous cases in courts, with the number of people in prison. About more than 60% of people in prison are from drug cases, and yet our conviction rate in the courts is so low. Maybe it's because of the chain of custody. Maybe there's a technicality sa paghandle mga evidences ng mga PNP. But I think on the side of the judiciary, something must be done to increase the rate of conviction. Otherwise, ang feeling ko personally as an anti-drug advocate, there'll just be too many people in the entire drug business in the country just roaming around and not being convicted. So that is one of my concern, Mr. Chair. And my second concern is that when I was the mayor of Ormoc City, we had a discussion with the courts na ang gusto ko sana ilipat yung court namin sa Ormoc City into a better place. So we went into a negotiation with the Supreme Court that we will have an exchange deal, no? Kasi yung courts ngayon sa Ormoc City is right beside the barbecue area, and there's just too much members of the court are not so, we want to put them in a more safe area. So we donated 1 hectare property for the building of for a judiciary building. So Mr. Chair, I'd like to manifest that if we will increase our budget for the judiciary, I'd like to manifest, Mr. Chair, to allot an initial amount of 100 million for the construction of a judiciary building in Ormoc City. And in the following year, if definitely hindi to matatapos with 100 million, we will work on it. We will work on it to get another budget to finish the judiciary building. My concern is, again, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang sila ilipat into a better place and to a more secured area. So those are just my 2 concerns, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, and good morning.
Maraming salamat po. Thank you, Your Honor. First off, we thank Your Honor for your concern regarding our courts. We welcome that possibility that our courts will be transferred to a better place. In fact, if there will be a place or a property that where we can construct that new Hall of Justice, then we will definitely pursue it, Your Honor. So we will just be waiting for any development regarding the donation or to make available any property for that purpose. And we will surely support that, Your Honor. With respect to this matter about the drugs, Your Honor, drugs cases, I don't know if what is the basis of the PNP. Perhaps we will just coordinate with them regarding the source of this particular data. But I think the conviction rate may be considered higher, Your Honor. If they are not counting the results of plea bargaining, that is considered a conviction, Your Honor. If the accused pleads guilty to a charge, then he is convicted, Your Honor. Of course, the penalty will be for a lesser offense. So that's why perhaps, Your Honor, that percentage of conviction, which is less than 1%, may not be consistent with our own data, Your Honor, regarding these drugs cases.
Yes, Representative Richard Gomez.
Yes, the drug conviction was presented by the Philippine National Police. I asked them if the conviction rate is up to the Supreme Court. Ang sabi nila is that this is in the lower courts now. So maybe you may be right, Mr. Chair, that hindi nila sinama dito yung sa plea bargaining because another thing with the plea bargaining that is something that we will have to tackle at the committee level on what we can do with manners of concerns yesterday na medyo nagkakaproblema sila sa plea bargaining agreement with regards to the cases. So thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Maraming salamat din po.
Thank you. Next. Next in line is Representative wala na? Of course, our Senior Vice Chair, Representative Stella Kimbo.
I am not a lawyer, but I married into a family of lawyers. At pag malaman ng asawa ko na ako ay nagtatanong sa inyo, papagalitan po ako nun. However, many of our colleagues expressed deep support for your request for a budget reconsideration amounting to 2.8 billion. And of course, kayo na po ang unang makakaalam na kung magtataas po tayo ng budget ninyo, maghahanap po tayo ng ahensya na babawasan ng 2.8 billion. Of course, madaling sabihin, pero in the end, kung mangyari nga po yun, kami po sa Committee on Appropriations ang maatasan na maghanap kung saan kukuha ng 2.8 billion. And so pasensya na po, I'm constrained to ask more details about your request. So first of all, so of the 2.8 billion, 1.87 billion is for the Supreme Court and the lower courts and mostly for personnel. In fact, entirely for personnel, itong 1.87. And am I correct that you are requesting for the creation of 271 new positions? So 100 for the RTC, 50 for MTC, 121 for the Judicial Integrity Board. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, the Judicial Integrity Board is not considered a court. The 121 positions pertain to the operations of the Judicial Integrity Board. The 150 judges at large positions, actually, there are already 40 that have been appointed as judges at large. So this is actually in addition to what is needed in order to comply with the dictates of the law creating the judges at large positions, Your Honor.
And as pointed out earlier,
we would like to recognize the presence of our Majority Floor Leader, Congressman Manex Dalipe.
Magandang umaga, Major. Ako na po ang huli. Pag dumadating si Major, ibig sabihin, bilisan na natin. Okay, anyway, so as pointed out earlier, there are many unfilled positions. In fact, 12,311 based on the NAP. So I'm wondering does this mean that none of the 271 new positions you are requesting do not match with any of the 12,311 unfilled authorized positions?
Unfortunately, no, Your Honor, because these positions are for staff, the ones that are vacant. But we are feeling, like I said, Your Honor, every week the SPB, the Selection Promotion Board, is working so far as filling up all these vacancies are concerned. And as mentioned, these are new positions, so that's why they are not similar to the existing vacancies now. May I just add, Your Honor, pardon me, the Judicial Integrity Board is actually functioning already. We have a chairperson. The head is retired Justice Romeo Callejo. The vice chairperson is former Associate Justice, Supreme Court Associate Justice Gutierrez. And then the three members are all retired justices of the Court of Appeals, Justice Billion, the Sandigan Bayan, Justice Ponferrada, and from the Court of Tax Appeals, Justice Grulla.
Right? Salamat po. So since you had not been filling up these unfilled positions in the last almost 2 years, so nagtataka po ako, ibig sabihin po ba nun, baka naman some of these positions we don't need anymore? Is that the correct assessment, or have you come to that point in the context of right-sizing the government, have you made an assessment? Have you audited whether all of these positions you continue to need?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, we need all of them, and we are in the process of reviewing the structure. And one of the recommendation is actually to increase the number of personnel, no, in our lower courts. So among others, because with the initiative right now of the court to automate a lot of our processes, we need additional people to man all of these applications, and of course, in order to provide the necessary manpower to be able to implement and carry out all of these processes, Your Honor. So there is already, in fact, a recommendation to add. And all of these positions actually, they vary because the positions either pertain to a utility worker, process server, all of these historically have been part of the plantilla of our trial courts. So it just yes, like I said earlier, the filling up is continuous, and that's why some of the reasons why there is a vacancy, among other things, because there are unorganized courts, because they remain vacant, but they are included the number already that need to be filled up, or sometimes because of the irregularity insofar as retirements are concerned, or sometimes there are those that who resign or die while in service. So, but all of these are being filled up, and there is a process, Your Honor. One thing that I have to mention, we follow the process insofar as what is required by the civil service, and what happens that we post the vacancy, and then it's vetted by the selection and promotions board, and then after approval, of course, we clear it with the court, and then submit the matter to the Civil Service Commission. So we wait for their approval. Although and then if there are vacancies by reason of resignation, there are clearances that need to be done before we can even open all of this. So the point is, Your Honor, the vacancy in terms of number may be a little big, but actually it's not because we do not want to fill the vacancies. As I mentioned earlier, the directive, as in the past and more so now, Your Honor, is to fill up all of these vacancies, Your Honors, the soonest possible time. That's why we even came up with the revised human resources merit and promotion rule or guideline, Your Honor, which was only recently approved by the Civil Service Commission.
All right, thank you for that clarification. So I looked at your accomplishment report and I was very impressed. So I commend you for far exceeding many of your targets. May isa dito na halos 400%. So help me understand. So when it comes to the RTC, MTC, etc., they all exceed 100%. So help me appreciate better the request for additional positions. So kung lagpas-lagpas na pala ang ating performance, pero kailangan natin ng mas maraming tao, ano po ang vision natin? So ano pa, could it also be that baka naman pwede na natin i-adjust upwards ang target? Is that one thing that you've been contemplating? Kasi hindi ko ma-appreciate yung situation na you need many more judges, for example. Kami naman, without even looking at the numbers, we feel it eh. Alam talaga namin na talagang kailangan natin ng mga judges. But then the numbers don't seem to round up because you far exceed your targets, yet you need a more supply of personnel.
Well, Your Honor, insofar as the targets are concerned, that's based on what is, that's the result of discussions with our economic managers, among others, Your Honors. Of course, the targets may be reviewed because if you notice, it's been constant for the past several years. And you may be correct, Your Honor, in your assessment that, if you're far exceeding it, it might be because we need to review it. But nonetheless, that's a reason why we need more. Because when we exceed, actually, we were able to do that. Not because it's enough what we have right now. But the point is, Your Honor, there are some courts, for example, that the caseloads may be higher, And then there are courts that the caseloads may be lower. But we cannot discriminate between these two courts because they have the same plantilla positions. So that's what we're saying, Your Honor. That's why, the vacancy may not necessarily reflect, Your Honor, the need for us not only to fill the vacancies but also to add a little more number of personnel.
One last question. This is about my advocacy. In 2016, when the Philippine Competition Commission was created, of course, the competition law is new, and the competition law is a little bit more complicated because it requires the application of economic principles. And PCC had many joint activities with the PhilJA, particularly to capacitate the judiciary with respect to competition law. I'm wondering if you continue to have such initiatives.
Your Honor, for one, it was made clear already by the Supreme Court when they decided that with respect to cases involving competitions, unfair competition, it will go to the special commercial courts. So that's one. Second, with respect to collaboration regarding making known this work of the Philippine Competition Commission, the PhilJA has always been open to any training or seminar that will involve the people of the Philippine Competition Commission. Likewise, Your Honor, I think you're familiar that there is already guidelines or rules that were issued by the Supreme Court regarding administrative investigations that will be done through the personnel of the Philippine Competition Commission. So we already have those rules already in place for purposes of enhancing the work of the Philippine Competition Commission, because they're the only ones who can conduct administrative investigation. Of course, they will only apply with the court, and there are already guidelines regarding that, Your Honor.
Right. That was actually my last question. Of course, notwithstanding my questions, obviously we are very supportive of the judiciary. No less than the Constitution provides that the legislature cannot reduce the appropriations for the judiciary, and that, of course, appropriations shall be automatically and regularly released. So I end there, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Senior Vice Chair. May isa pa tayo from Cagayan de Oro, Representative Rufus Rodriguez via Zoom. Please.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Gonzaga, Chair Stella Kimbo. Good morning to our Court Administrator, Justice Raul Villanueva.
Magandang umaga po.
Justice, my favorite Justice, Supreme Court Justice Maidas Marquez. And then, of course, the presiding justices of CA, my good friend, Presiding Justice Salazar Fernando, our CTA, also another good friend, PJ Roman Del Rosario, and then of course Sandigan Bayan, another good friend, Presiding Justice Amparo Kabutahi Tang. Okay, and all the family of the judiciary. My first question, and I see already Justice Marquez smiling, because my first question is about the whole of justice of Cagayan de Oro. Based on your presentation, our Justice Villanueva, ay ito, whole of justice, we are not in the ongoing construction. We are in the column of procurement of DAED consultant and procurement of project manager consultant. The fire of the Cagayan de Oro Hall of Justice was 9 years ago. Our justices are having their offices in makeshift offices, comfort rooms are on the other side. There's no comfort room in the classroom. So let us therefore now, can you give me now a definitive answer about what will be the situation in this year and also next year, please, Justice.
Yes po, Your Honor. This is a big concern of yours, Your Honors. For which reason we are trying to fast track of course, getting the consultant to design. The Supreme Court already decided not only to construct the trial court, the Hall of Justice for our trial courts, but also the Court of Appeals complex or building. That's the reason why the plan is to have a judicial complex in Cagayan de Oro that will house both the trial courts, the first and second trial courts, and the Court of Appeals. My apologies, Your Honors. Insofar as this is concerned, we need to come up now with a different plan that will include all of these courts together in one location. And the location has already been identified. It has been inspected, Your Honor, no less by a Justice of the Supreme Court, Your Honor. That's how much importance we're giving to it. We're asking not for a very long time, but for a very short time. Once the consultant is engaged by the end of this year, Your Honor, the submission of the designs is expected to be done within 4 to 6 months, and then by later the third quarter of next year, that the bidding for the work contractor might already take place, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice, but that was the same answer for the past 9 years. It's 9 years, the same answer. But obviously, it's a complex question in a complex setup in a complex answer. But anyway, I would really expect if you can already finish the DAED, the consultant, and the project consultant, is it possible, therefore, that we can start the construction next year, and whether there is a budget already for the construction of the Cagayan de Oro? Really, everybody there, all the members of the bar, the IBP, Misamis Oriental Chapter, are always calling me because they have always known that I have been always following this up every budget season. So can we have a commitment that there can be a start next year already and the budget for this for next year?
Yes, Your Honor. I think we can make that commitment in a way, because one thing that is delaying the engagement of a consultant is there's always a failed bidding, Your Honor, unfortunately. So we have to keep on rebidding it. But this time around, if we fail again, we will already negotiate, Your Honor. So we are very sure that we can already engage a consultant, hopefully within the end of the year, so that construction can be done. Like I said, once the design is completed within 4 to 6 months on next year, Your Honor, the work contractor can already be engaged, hopefully, if there is no bidding by next year, Your Honor, by the third quarter of next year.
Thank you. With that commitment, Chairman Gonzaga, I am therefore constrained to really move for the approval of the request of the judiciary, Mr. Chairman, because as stated by the Constitution, the importance of the judiciary, our justices and judges, and the court personnel all over the country. Mr. Chairman, I therefore move that we approve that 2.8 billion budget increase. You know, the judiciary is composed of wise men and reasonable men. They propose a budget of 74 billion, and only 52 billion was given. In other words, clearly, the slash by the DBM, which is unconstitutional, it is 21.46 billion. That is the total slash of the DBM. They are only being reasonable and wise. They're only requesting only 10% of only 2.8 billion. That is a sign that they understand the situation and that they are willing to continue with the best services of our Supreme Court, is with Chief Justice Esmundo, that we are going to give them 2.8 as divided as follows. Supreme Court 1.86, CA 567, 124 City, and then Sadikan Bayan. And then aside from that, Mr. Chair, are you approving now my motion, Mr. Chairman? Because I will go to the second motion.
Yes, sir. Noted by the chair.
Yes, because I will not, to make the proceedings short, I'm not going to intervene anymore in the plenary. This will be the last for me, because I would now want the judiciary budget approved very fast in the plenary. So thank you for noting my motion. My last motion, Mr. Chairman, the last one. Can I proceed, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Please wind up.
My next motion is to approve all the proposed special provisions in the budget of the judiciary. Number 2, provision, special allowance for judges and judges. Let us approve the wordings of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is infallible. Next, we have number 7 on the MOOE of the lower courts. I propose that all the special provisions of proposed by the judiciary be approved by this committee, so that in the plenary it will be smooth sailing, and let us approve immediately the judiciary in the plenary. With that, Mr. Chairman, I am therefore thankful to the judiciary. I say to the judiciary, keep on with the good work, keep on with judicial activism, and we in Congress will support all your budget requests and all your special provisions. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat po, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sir Rufus. Your first and second motion will be acted upon by this committee on the most appropriate time.
Mr. Chairman.
Next, the good majority floor leader, Manex Dalipe.
Mr. Chairman, on the part of the majority, I move that we terminate the budget briefing of the Judiciary and all attached agencies. Mr. Chairman, considering we have already extensively discussed all issues, so that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
There is no emotion, and duly seconded by our very good Senior Vice Chair. It has been moved and seconded. The motion to terminate the budget briefing of the judiciary is carried. The budget briefing is suspended. We resume at 11:30 for the Department of Energy and the Energy Regulation Commission. Thank you.